I 27F need to decide if I am to call off my engagement to my fiancé 31M of 2.5 years. I 27F need to decide if I am to call off my engagement to my fiancé 31M of 2.5 years. I am a long-time lurker and not somebody who has ever needed advice from the Reddit community, but I am in a place in my relationship with my fiancé where I need opinions from outsiders to help me make a final decision for myself on whether I continue with marrying him or not. Please pardon any formatting errors. I am using mobile. I want to preface this with some background info. My fiancé and I have been dating 2.5 years, engaged since April of this year. I love him, he has become my best friend, and to end the relationship is not something I take lightly. I have already spoken to him that I am having my doubts about this future marriage, and we are currently on a 2-week break while I can sort myself out and make decisions. He has never been somebody to not want to talk out our problems. He has never been abusive. He has put so much effort into our relationship that he feels like an equal to me. He is an amazing listener. However, the problems seem to lie in his desire to be a peacekeeper between myself, his family, and my family. Let's begin. Our troubles began early in our relationship. My parents never liked him in the beginning because they felt he was awkward, and not hands-on enough. My mother said she felt I deserved better because his etiquette was lacking. For example, he didn't shake my dad's hand, he was quiet and not as conversational in the beginning, he didn't hug and kiss my mom on the cheek when saying hello or goodbye. My father didn't care for him because my fiancé did not appear to have hobbies that fit into my family. My fiancé didn't speak passionately about any particular things he liked. I argued in defense of my fiancé and said that he was not yet culturally acclimated to my family customs, that I didn't care if he wasn't a handy guy, he didn't need to be Mr. Fix-It that could do repairs on a car, a house, anything like that. My parents seemed to move forward from this with reservations. They gave him a chance. Then both my fiancé and I did a very stupid thing that in hindsight was quite immature and offensive to my parents. We were caught by my father having, in my bedroom at about 6 months into our relationship. My father threw both myself and my fiancé out of the house. We left, got some pizza and sat in the nearby park while I bawled my eyes out and he tried to console me. He was upset as well. When I got home, my father forbade me from seeing him again as it was a sign that neither of us respected my parents, and that my fiancé had disrespected them as well. I cried all night. My mother sided with my dad, however said that I should not break up with my fiancé if I really thought there was love there. We were both consenting adults, however we should not have disrespected the house. I am not arguing this. It was disrespect on our part. This left a bad taste in my parents' mouth about him for a while. However, about a year later, my fiancé asked my parents for my hand in marriage. My parents are on the traditional side and they were happy he asked. He has after the first year been as integrated as possible into our family. I had set a boundary that in the first year, we didn't split holidays and we didn't do gifts. I wanted to see where the relationship would lead and he agreed. He has been invited to all our family events. There aren't many though because my family is extremely small. I have also been integrated into his family and received invites to all of his family events. He has a larger family than I do. However, he is an only child. There are lots of aunts and uncles and cousins and such. They are all agreeable people from what I've seen of them. When I refer to his family in this post, I am referring to his nuclear family, his mom, his dad, and my fiancé. Our most recent hurdle, the one that is making me question this relationship and future marriage, is the wedding planning. I know it is stressful, but I don't think it's supposed to be this stressful. It has brought to my attention some red flags. Wedding planning. The original plan for the both of us was to have a very small wedding. Neither of us likes to have a big gathering, we aren't really party people. So, we set a 50 people max limit. One day, I was over at his house post-engagement. We both still live at home and we were having coffee with his mother and father just shooting the breeze. The two of us were going to a movie that afternoon and I had gotten there early to spend time with my fiancé and his family. At this point, the wedding details hadn't really been worked out. So I said to his mother that I was thinking about my wedding colors maybe being green, gold, and cream. She thought those were lovely. My fiancé mentioned that the wedding we wanted would be small and potentially held at an Italian restaurant that their family went to often. Let's call it Gino's restaurant. Gino's was a very small place. It was a house converted into a family business in a neighborhood a little north of where my fiancé and his family mostly live. As a result, we discussed that typically, the church part of the wedding would have to be at my fiancé's parish. This would be to keep travel times down. My parents did not have knowledge of any of this info yet, and I figured I would communicate this late in the day when I saw them. I was not prepared to discuss anything other than wedding colors at this time. My fiancé then told his parents that we would like 50 people. We explained that the whole wedding was to be 50 people, split 2,525 between bride and groom. His mother's immediate response was that we would have to give her more people. We discussed a potential wedding date. I have always wanted a winter wedding. I proposed March. March would have been perfect for my color scheme. Both of his parents pushed back against that and said if it snowed, it would be hard for their people to travel as many of their people are elderly. I said I would have to think about it. I explained the reason for a restaurant wedding and 50 people was to keep costs down. The more money we saved from the wedding, the more my parents could afford to help us with providing part of the down payment for a future house. We had to cut short the conversation because we had to leave for the movie. Later that night I informed my parents of the discussion and voiced my concerns about my future mother-in-law's FMIL request for more people despite my fiancé and I wanting a total of 50 people. My mother wasn't prepared for this conversation and it took her off guard. She said that if my fiancé and I want 50 people, then to push for it. Later on the next week when I saw them again, the list of people who my FMIL and future father-in-law FFIL had put together for just their side was quite lengthy. It was around 80 people just their side. They wanted to push for a 100-person wedding as I only had around 20 to 25 people for my side. This is double the intended number. I said to them and to my fiancé that this was something I could not agree to. The venue was a restaurant that was on the smaller side. That couldn't accommodate that many people. My fiancé had even said that he expected this to happen. He said to purposely have a small venue so that his mother wouldn't invite every person she ever knew to come to the wedding. I stood firm on the 50. Then it was offered by FFIL that they could help pay for the extra people. I said I needed to discuss with my family. My fiancé and I left to go to an event that we had planned. Maybe it was another movie, I can't remember. I just remember being angry that my wishes couldn't be honored. My fiancé promised he would help them trim their list. The next day my fiancé sent me a spreadsheet with approximate costs for things that we would need for wedding, like venue, flowers, and stuff like that. He also had a page in the spreadsheet dedicated to the guests. Their total for people was around 60. I was asked to list my people in the spreadsheet. I sat with my parents and did that. I had texted my fiancé that this was still too many people. He said that they couldn't cut the number down anymore because the people on his side just had bigger families. This is true as many of the families are around 5 to 8 people each. However, I was still uncomfortable with the number. My mother had wanted to hold a small engagement dinner for us and the parents. I said why not have it at the restaurant where we were planning the wedding. She said that would be a great idea. Fast forward to the engagement dinner. 2 days before we were supposed to have the dinner, my FMIL and FFIL come down with a case of COVID. Dinner has to be cancelled. I'm upset and angry. So far planning this wedding hasn't been the best experience. My fiancé says he isn't comfortable going to the dinner as he may be a carrier or sick himself and didn't test positive yet. He still went to work. I was told on a Thursday and dinner was scheduled for that Saturday. He went to work that Friday, however, we cancelled our Friday date plans in case he was sick. The reservation was cancelled without offering the reservation back to my parents and I had still wanted my parents to see the venue. Later that day, I had texted my fiancé that it was rude to cancel without offering the reservation to us. What if my parents still wanted to go? My father had called out of work on Saturday to make sure he could attend his daughter's engagement dinner. He apologized. I called the restaurant and made a reservation for myself, my younger brother, and my parents. There was no mention of ever rescheduling this engagement dinner. My parents were going away to Florida to clean out my grandfather's house as he had passed this past December. My fiancé said the reason it wasn't rescheduled was because we didn't know exactly what my parents were going to do or how much time they needed for Florida. My parents were heartbroken that the family I was marrying into wouldn't be there. My mother especially felt that getting sick was a lie. My FMIL has anxiety and I said to my mother that maybe there was something that happened and they couldn't tell us and to give the benefit of the doubt. My mother told me to wake up and smell the coffee that I was being too nice and letting her walk all over me, especially as seen previously with the guest list. So, I went along with my mother's thinking. I told my fiancé that I didn't really think that his mother had COVID. It felt like she wasn't really sick and just didn't want to be at dinner with my parents because there was some sort of issue that his family has with my family. My fiancé sent an official COVID test report from the urgent care his mother went to prove that Yes, she did have COVID. I told my mother and showed my mother this. She to this day thinks it was all a lie. Since seeing the restaurant and getting pricing for the venue, my mother and father agreed the venue was too small for the current number of 80 people total on our guest list. At my engagement dinner we asked for pricing for a wedding. We were told by the owner that they have a party room upstairs for 72 guests max. We were told we could not rent out the first floor of the restaurant. The price for this would be $15,000 for the 72 people, open bar, and the menu we tentatively picked. After the dinner, I conveyed this info to my fiancé. My fiancé said the restaurant was lying. His cousin had 90 people at the same place and they were able to rent the whole place out. I said maybe your cousin was a special case. After this night my parents decided that if the guest list was not getting smaller, the venue could not fit what we wanted, that a new venue was needed. My mother said she would be embarrassed to have a wedding for her daughter there. I agreed after I heard pricing and the fact that other wedding venues that come with all the fixings for a wedding could be near the same price range. The next week when I saw my future in-laws, they said they had gone to Gino's and talked pricing. They were told that they could rent the whole restaurant for $20,000 on a Saturday. I said that wasn't what I was told, my parents and brother as witness. By this time, my parents had decided that if there was to be 80 people, they wanted music. I had initially said no to a DJ because sometimes they get too loud, I get overstimulated and I leave the room. I had done that previously at the 3 weddings I had gone to with my fiancé. I also did that because those weddings were not for close family of my fiancé. Neither he nor I knew any of the guests really well and I'm not really a dancer. My fiancé and his family had also expressed that his family doesn't dance. It would be a waste of money. Being as there were still issues of space and cost for what was being provided by the restaurant, my parents still wanted to check out other places. This is where things get more hairy. My father and mother are on the traditional side. They wanted to pay for the whole wedding themselves, especially as they wanted certain things that my fiancé's side did not. They wanted full control over wedding planning because they really wanted a DJ and my FMIL and FFIL really didn't. Prior to leaving for Florida, because there was so much animosity towards DJ and ODJ, and the venue being too small for my parents, but just fine for my fiancé's parents. My father said to my fiancé that it was ridiculous that messages have to keep being passed between myself and fiancé and that instead communication should be direct between both sets of parents. Also, my father said that traditionally, it is up to the bride's side to decide where wedding will be held. My fiancé then asked if there could be a family meeting where things could be discussed. My parents originally wanted to do it at the engagement dinner, but that didn't happen. My dad said that the meeting could happen. My fiancé asked if it could be within the next few weeks, like on the 26th. Dad said maybe he would have to see because of all the Florida business. While my parents were driving back from their most recent trip to Florida to pack up my grandfather's house, I came across an Instagram post from a different restaurant that my family has loved for years. It is closer to where I live. There is a bridge with a toll that separates my house and my fiancé's house. His people live north of the bridge, I am south of the bridge. The new restaurant that I am now talking about I shall call the Inn. The Inn regularly does weddings and has a dedicated wedding planning service for their site. I texted my fiancé and called my parents the same day to tell them about it and propose having the wedding there. This would mean that we would also have to switch from my fiancé's parish to my parish for the church wedding. It is traditional in my culture to go to the bride's parish anyway. My parents had never argued about which parish we got married in, as long as fiancé and I were happy. This did not bother fiancé or his parents. I signed up on the website for the Inn to get a call back from a wedding planner. When we got the call back I couldn't talk and asked my mother to handle making a meeting. My mother made the meeting for a Sunday. The Sunday I had forgotten I was going to a baseball game with my fiancé, FFIL and fiancé's uncle. I sent my parents instead. My parents called during the game to go over pricing. Pricing for a Friday would be 81.95 pp and Saturday would be 89.95 pp. For 80 people, including extra desserts, a wedding cake, DJ, and the gifts to give your guests to take home with them, a photographer, flowers, open bar, everything my fiancé and I wanted would have been $20,000. The event space would have fit 115 people plus a dance floor. Same price as Gino's, but we were getting so much more. I told my fiancé about the pricing. He was a little surprised because I had caught him off guard discussing this at the baseball game and he didn't know I had my parents go to the Inn to look for pricing. My mistake, I had forgotten to tell him because of all that I had going on at work. The wedding planner schedule was tight. I asked if I could bring my fiancé to see the inn. The only open appointment she had before pricing increased would have been the next day, Monday at 4 p.m. I told my FFIL and fiancé about the AP ointment. FFIL asked me if this was a place I really wanted. I said yes, and I was excited about it because it had a piece of what everyone wanted. Everyone could be included. Maybe even fit a few more people. FFIL tells my fiancé to go to the meeting with FMIL. That he had a trip to the cemetery planned with his sisters and couldn't go. The next day, Monday at 4 p.m. my parents and his parents all arrived to the inn. My fiancé, FMIL, and FFIL all do not look happy. My parents are excited and bought the checkbook to pay in full in cash. This is where the circus starts. As soon as we walk into the wedding office, there is immediate tension. My mother tries to make a joke about our new kitten being so full of energy and accidentally scratching her leg to break the tension. Tension does not get relieved. They don't respond to my mother. My FMIL responds only to me when I say to her that the kitten is due to be neutered later in the week and I hope everything goes well. She talks a little about kittens and then we sit down with wedding planner, let's call her Amy. Amy was amazing. She was explaining the package that my parents had picked out. My FMIL first interjects at the cocktail hour of the wedding. She asks about the extra room add-on and if we could do more food options. Amy explains that it is extra time that gets added on with an extra room. Each additional cocktail option is 12 pp extra in addition to the extra 1500 for the additional room and hour to the wedding. My mother says that they will not be adding extras like that to the package to keep costs down. FMIL continues to ask for extra options for entrees. Amy explains for extra entree options, it's an additional 8 pp. My mother gets annoyed and leaves her seat to stand behind my chair. My father says to FMIL that she and FFIL are here at the wedding planning meeting at his discretion. Throughout this meeting FMIL continues to ask for add-ons that my fiancé and I haven't gotten to discuss because my fiancé is standing behind me and didn't really seem like he wanted to be in the meeting. He and his father were letting FMIL do all the talking. We originally were to have a winter 2026 wedding. Then dates for October 2025 were being demanded. My fiancé for the longest time said he wanted a weekday wedding to keep costs down, then all of a sudden they wanted a Saturday. Then my fiancé picked a date on a Jewish holiday and my FMIL said that they couldn't do that day because one of her guests is Jewish and they would not be able to attend, so it had to be a Saturday not a Friday. Amy sees that tensions are high and asks the parents to step out of the meeting room. Everyone leaves except FMIL who is asking for details that she wants in the wedding. My father and my fiancé both ask her to get up and leave at least 4 times. I finally say to her to go and have an adult conversation outside while me and fiancé discuss wedding planning. There were things that were said in this meeting that did not sit well with me. My fiancé very sternly and arrogantly told my mother that there will be no DJ. My mother said, "Oh yes, there will be." I stated in the meeting that I wanted a DJ because I wanted to be introduced as a couple with my new husband, my family does dance, and that we could control the type of music and volume to keep my overstimulation to a minimum. Outside of the meeting room, I don't know the specifics of what was said, however, my parents felt that FMIL was dictating what she want. Ed in the wedding and spending my parents' money in a way that they did not approve of. I agree, her questions about pricing and add-ons felt more like demands than questions. I didn't like it either. When I came out of the office, my parents had left. My mother was crying in the parking lot and my father was pacing the lot trying to burn off anger. My parents stated that because of that woman FMIL they are walking away from wedding and will not be paying for any of it. I was told that if I am to marry into that family that I would be disowned and asked to move out. The next day I spoke to my fiancé on the phone. Just us. In the course of our conversation, my fiancé cited WITB his parents. Called my parents out for not communicating properly. Stated my parents were manipulative. Gaslit me on my recollection of events. Talked to me like I was in a meeting at work. This speech he gave sounded so rehearsed and sounded like words from his mother and father. It didn't sound like my fiancé. I defended my family and called his mother out on trying to plan a wedding without paying any attention to what he and I wanted. That she acted like a mouthpiece for him. He said that he is my biggest supporter and that he loves me. He does not want to lose me and that when we are married and out on our own that things will change, that we won't be as easily influenced by the people we live with. I have put our engagement on hold. I didn't like the gaslighting during our last conversation. I don't like the level of meddling and manipulation that was enabled by FFIL and my fiancé. Dear people of Reddit, I would like your thoughts and opinions. Should I end the engagement and the relationship altogether? I feel like I should. My parents, my brother, and my father's work friends all say to run away now before things get worse. TLDR, my fiancé's parents and my parents met with a wedding planner for a venue that we both agreed to. Things got out of hand. FMIL appeared controlling. My fiancé and his family did not appear happy to be there. My parents have now stated that they will not pay for a wedding and are urging me to dump my fiancé and call off engagement.